Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. We are live here once again. Producer Chris Daughtry behind the scenes for today's live show. We'll talk injury updates. We'll talk trade stuff. We'll do a mailbag. We'll talk Lions preview, a pretty tough matchup coming here for Dallas. Before we get into all of that, we got a super chat, $5 worth from Abja Pawar. Thank you very much, my friend. It says, let Dak deal. 1 and 9. That's Tolbert and Turpin. Should be our 2A, 2B wide receivers. Let's get 87 more involved in the passing game. He hasn't had a TD yet. I already posted the tweet of, who scores the first TD for Dallas? Kind of feels like a pretty good week to get one from Jake Ferguson. It is a little surprising he hasn't caught one yet. He's had some good games as of late, as the passing offense has shown some more signs of life in the last 2 games and a quarter against the Ravens. So that's been promising developments on that front, but I would like to see more action out of Ferguson. And I do think, hey, they ran the seam shot to Turpin and a good thing happened. I like to see more of those routes because that's a ball Dak throws really, really well. Who you got in this one? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Let me know in the comments of today's video. Who do you have winning in this one? The Cowboys are underdogs, by the way. Detroit is favored. Ecuador man's got L for the Lions, which I get. That's who I picked in the matchup. I think they can win. I'm just not overly confident in their ability to win because I think the Lions have more talent and I think they're better coached. And typically when those two things happen, that team ends up winning. C's, though, coming in from Marbles, William, Rusty, Daniel, Joseph, Texas Wolf, a.k.a. Danelle Graves, Cowboy Rob, Brian, Joseph, Warren Peace, Bobby, Tyler. Got L's in there from Lance Roberts, Grant Eckhoff, Randy Gwynn. I do like when they play an L team like the Lions because the L works both ways. Lions win, and therefore it's an L for the Cowboys. Tar Heel Cowboy says C. Edgar Jimenez Pena says C. Andrew Schultz says C. Donald Decatur says C. I think I got the last name right. If not, I'm terribly sorry. Galahad, Garza, Eddie Diaz, Frank Rodriguez, Brian Perry, I Am Luigi, Chris Snow, Steven, Zeno, Sherry, Dustin, all typing in their C's in the comment section of today's video. Or live stream, I should say. Which I get, because Lions are a good football team. And they're also still mad and Bentara over how it ended last year for them. Even though they should have lost again anyway. The better team won that game. Better team might win this week, too. We'll get back to some more comments for you guys to answer. But first, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time has a feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It's curation designed to save you even more. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. And today's show also made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or pick less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Sign up today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. We'll talk Cowboys injuries here. We should get the updated Thursday injury report any minute here, at least in the near future, right around the time when it was released yesterday. But is Micah Parsons back in time for the Cowboys game against the 49ers? He's not going to play this week. He can try as much as he wants. I'd be pretty shocked if that one happened. But back for the Niners, much more doable. Because remember, it was a short week, so you're kind of at that 4-week time frame for the 49ers game. Plus, you got the bye coming up here before that. So will you be back in time? Y for yes, N for no. A lot of yeses in there. Brendan, Brian, William, Daniel. Donnell, Dennis. How about that? Back 3 straight D names in a row. Andrew says yes. Randy says no. I think he'll be back. I don't know if he's going to play his normal allotment of snaps. I could very much see a scenario where he's not as involved and maybe plays like 50, 60 instead of 70, 80, 90%. You also probably need him against the 49ers because, well, even with him, I'm not sure you're going to end up winning that football game, which is what we've seen for too many times against that particular matchup. Dudley says yes. Zeno says yes. Antonio says yes as well. Sorry. It got lost with other comments in there. D-Money's got a yes in there. Zeno's got a yes. Larry Dixon says no. This is today's Super Chat menu. $20, I will do a shot. $50 for the beer bong. It is the discounted prices because there's simply not as many people who are here watching the regular live shows as the watch party, which means I don't get as many 50s, so I don't have to do as many beer bongs as a result. If we get a $300 Super Chat, I didn't know if the Pop-Tart mascot image was going to work. It's actually a GIF. It just does not play, but it has like the still image, which is perfect. $300, $300 Super Chat. Bosses said, I get to be that for Halloween, and I will wear it for our Halloween watch party, and probably for at least part of the Halloween night show that we'll have here. So that is for a $300 Super Chat. I got them to drop the price down a little bit. We'll see if I can. I'm not optimistic I'll be able to drop it lower, but we'll see. Also, they're almost out, so I kind of need to order one or not do it at all. So $300 for that one per the bosses. $500, you get a custom Cowboys jersey of your choosing. The most hundreds in September or in October gets the MVP jersey. Anthony McMillan has the early lead on that front. It will be the 24 for 2024, and then OCT MVP because October didn't fit. At least I don't think it fit. Maybe we'll be able to get a deal hooked up and figure out something else. But that is for the deal on that front, or for the Super Chat menu, I should say, on that front. We will also talk trades on today's show. So will the Cowboys make a trade? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Tom should go as a referee for Halloween. I don't know if I can see out of the Pop-Tart costume, so I was about as good as vision as the referees do. I can't see shit. Will the Cowboys make a trade? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know. Tom needs to be correct. I was McCarthy last year, though. That's what I was last year. And it worked out pretty well. But, I don't know. 1 for yes, 0 for no. Randy says yes. Leroy says 1. Dallas Davis says 1. Garth's got a 1 in there. I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but I also would expect more of like a small move. And we all know for a fact we're about 3 weeks away from Steven or Jerry being asked about it, and their response is going to be, well, we're getting Micah, we got DeRon Bland back, and we're going to get Marshawn Nealon and Tank Lawrence back. Those are just as good as trades. You know they're going to say it. Do it every year. You can set your clock by it to a certain extent. So, will we make a trade? 1 for yes, 0 for no in the comments. Sean says I should be Jerry for Halloween. I don't know how I would be Jerry. Just have a handle of Johnny Walker in my hand the entire time. Is that how I do it? I don't know. I have to think pretty hard about that one. The gold jacket, yeah, I have to get the gold jacket. Maybe I'll get Chad Johnson's gold jacket, which he had and is not ever going to get to actually have the real one there. So get those votes in. 1 for yes, 0 for no. If you want us to start today's stream, then like the video, like the actual in-depth stuff. First 2 notes, we'll go to the Super Chat from Chris Snow in a second. Don't worry, Chris. We don't have the injury report yet, so we'll go to the trade rumors first and then see where we're at. Because I think there's updates. There's going to be updates on various players that I wanted to figure out what was going on there before doing it, because it's no point in doing it and then having to refilm stuff once it does come out. So like the video, like the live stream if you want us to start today's content. Goal was always that 50% like ratio. Didn't even get to the third. Chris Snow, the Jags put Travis Etienne on the trade block. Since Tank is playing so well, would they trade him for a second or third round pick? I bet if they could get a second round pick, they'd do it in a heartbeat. I don't think anyone's offering a second. I'm not sure anyone would offer a 3. They have gotten some good stuff out of Tank Bigsby, especially the past 2 weeks. He's had some big explosive runs for them. Part of the issue you're going to run into here with Tank Bigsby is I think his shoulder's pretty banged up. And I think he's battling through some pain there. I think he could pass a physical, but that would, in theory, bring down the trade value. Now, it also, I think, requires Jacksonville to sell, because if they think they're contenders, they don't want to make Dearness Johnson their number 2 back, right? So I think it's a good name to monitor. I think the play of Bigsby is helping things, and if things go south, trading a player like Etienne to get some assets for a rebuild or at least a new regime actually does make sense for Jacksonville. So right this second, maybe not, but I actually very much do think that is one that is worth monitoring as we sit and wait and keep our eyes out for where things sit on ETN and everything there. So, Chris, I appreciate your super chat. I didn't update that graphic for some stupid reason. So I just don't even worry about it. We can just skip it. We will go out of order today because I still don't have that injury reports. Hopefully I get one soon. So we'll do trade rumors, then we'll come back to injury updates and other stuff. Mailbag preview, all part of the show as well. But because the Cowboys are late and just don't ever do things on my schedule, which, not that I ever really expect them to, we will go out of order and come up and start with the trade rumor section of today's show. All coming up live here on the Cowboys Report. Coming up on today's edition of the Cowboys Report, we're talking trades. Various outlets linking different players to the Cowboys. I wanted to look at 5 different names, plus mention some others, and break down the possibility of each of those players ending up in Dallas. Before we get to that, will the Dallas Cowboys actually make a trade? Historically, they like to make moves at the trade deadline. It just might not be the way that the type of splashy move everyone wants them to make or thinks they might make. So get your predictions in. 1 for yes, 0 for no. The first player discussed on today's show is one Amari Cooper. Now, for each of these players, we'll mention who reported it or who mentioned it, etc. In Amari Cooper's case, there have been several. The one that stands out to me is the Bleacher Report on Amari Cooper, saying, according to Rossini, i.e. Diana Rossini, Dallas was never interested in Adams because of the financial cost. Perhaps the Cowboys will look to reacquire Cooper. They traded to Cleveland in 2022. Now, his price point is manageable. On that note, it's the vet minimum is all that Amari Cooper is owed the rest of the way. It's the prorated figure. Immensely affordable for any NFL franchise. The Cowboys are going to be down Cooks for at least 3 more games, and that's the minimum, not the maximum, by the way. Jalen Tolbert played very well against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kevontae Turpin has flashed as well. Jalen Brooks has been a blocker. Ryan Flournoy got some playing time as well. What's noteworthy for Cooper, his numbers are down this year. Now, his off-target rate has skyrocketed to 45%, which is unbelievably high. It'd be the highest. The ESPN, that's the metric that it's from, has tracked in their entire time doing this stuff. Also has 8 drops this year. Now, of note, the 3 seasons in which Amari Cooper has had his most drops have been 2024, 2023, and 2022. Could that be a sign of decline? He dropped one right off his chest. Could this be a quarterback issue that's not maybe the most catchable ball in the end? I do think Amari has declined a little bit. I think he can still help you. So odds of happening, I'm going to kind of do a funny number of 19%, which was his number. Because 1.9 felt like a little bit too low. I probably rounded up too high, but it's funny. Because I do wish this would happen. I do think your offense as a whole has missed the type of player Amari Cooper is. Guys that get open are always quarterback friendly. I don't think he is at the same peak that he was at times in with the Raiders, with the Cowboys. I do think he can still help you, though. I think he can help you be a better football team. He's also super cheap. That matters for the Jones boys. I also know this. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones are not often ones to say, yep, we messed up. Our fault. Let's try it again. I don't know if their egos would allow them to say, yeah, we let it get personal with Amari Cooper. We screwed up. We've never properly replaced him. Let's bring him back. So do you want Amari Cooper back? Maybe you don't trust the injury stuff. Maybe you don't trust the road game woes. Y for yes, N for no. Go vote for me at the pinned comment of today's show. T. Higgins, the Bengals wide receiver, somehow is next up here. I actually get why he's on here. Outlets will not let that one go because they wanted to trade him this past offseason. Bengals off to a slow start. Here's what Bleacher Report argued. Dallas may have salvaged its season with a much-needed win over Pittsburgh on Sunday night. They could use a strong complement to CeeDee Lamb on the perimeter. Brandon Cooks was recently placed on IR following a knee procedure. Now, I do think we should acknowledge the fact that Higgins isn't always healthy either. He's actually pretty consistently banged up. Sometimes he's a bit too much like the Ferrari, that high-end luxury sports car that just doesn't maybe have the best reliability. But when it's out there, it's awesome. That's what we saw in 2016, 2021, or 2022, 2021, 2020 when he was a rookie. He was awesome. The odds it's happening, though, I think are actually zero. I don't see it happening at all. The Bengals are not trading him. They will not be officially out of the playoff hunt. So they're not going to sell one of their best young players. Now, I don't think they're going to pay him long term. You know who else is it going to pay T. Higgins? The Cowboys. He's due a prorated figure of $21.86 million. So it's really 21.8 divided by 18 times blah, blah, blah. So you're paying, a minimum, it's going to be $15 million. $14 million if you do it now. It maybe drops a little bit lower, whatever. You can round and say 12. It's just not going to happen. The Cowboys aren't paying that for Davante Adams. They're not going to pay it for T. Higgins either. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best way to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. They've got it available in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. They also invented the Flex Play, which means you can still cash if your lineup isn't perfect. I love the Flex Play because I'm really good about getting 2 out of 3 right. I actually am right in my boy Petey's Prize Pick slate this week. He's got Caleb Williams more than passing yards against the Jags defense out in London. Darnell Mooney more than receiving yards. He's low-key pretty hot right now. And Tony Pollard more than rushing yards. I love that one because the Colts' run defense is terrible. So sign up today at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Let's go to Miles Sanders here. This one is maybe a little bit more doable than the T. Higgins one, as low as that bar might be. Coming to us from CBS Sports, this was their best trade for the Cowboys, which was kind of not very clear. Anyway, here's what CBS Sports wrote. Jerry Jones didn't want to pay for Derrick Henry, so he might require Carolina to eat some of Sanders' deal. But the former Eagles standout would at least give Dak Prescott more proven run support. It's not proven good, though, lately. We do know that, right? Like, Miles Sanders was hyper efficient in Philadelphia in 2021, still really efficient in 2022, outright terrible last year, and we can look at what Chuba Hubbard is doing in Carolina right now. Hubbard has played actually really good football for the Panthers. He's averaging 5.8 yards per carry on 68 trials. Miles Sanders is averaging 3.6. That's 2 yard per carry difference is about top versus bottom, basically. And it's the same offense. Like, there's one independent factor there. It is who is getting the handoffs. So that strikes me as maybe it's a Miles Sanders issue more than anything else. So I'll put the odds of what's happening at 6.9%. Because, get it? 6.9. Rico Dowdle is very clearly a better running back at this moment. There's really no debate as far as I'm concerned. Now, Hubbard, different conversation. Maybe Carolina shops him. Even maybe most importantly, Miles Sanders is due $4.3 million a year. Now, again, it's the prorated figure, so it has to drop, whatever. Maybe closer to the deadline, it could make some more sense. I am open to exploring getting him out of that spot in Carolina, but I am worried that if Hubbard's playing great and Sanders isn't, that might be a Sanders issue more than like a team issue. So I want you guys to name a player who you want to trade for. Let me know in the comments of today's video, what player do you want to go out and acquire if you were the Jones boys? And in general, I am not opposed to still searching for running back help. Dowdle's better than Miles Sanders. We also need to acknowledge the fact that, hey, Rico Dowdle has injury history that's probably a pretty big red flag. And I would be worried about him making it through an entire season. And then we'll see about Dalvin Cook, whatever. If you even play Zeke Elliott, Deuce Vaughn, it's not a great room. So some other trade targets to consider here. Khalil Herbert is kind of not playing in Chicago. Roschon Johnson has surpassed him along with DeAndre Swift. So call about that one there. Dameon Pierce, the Texans running back, has not played very well, but could end up being available there. Travis Etienne, who maybe the Jags shop him. We'll see about that. Zamir White has not played well in Las Vegas, but he does fit that power back mold. Jeff Wilson Jr., the Dolphins running back, is certainly worth exploring there. He's kind of buried as the fourth option, not super starry, but like spot gap option is fine. I do like Israel Abanikanda. He is buried on the Jets depth chart, which I think is worth exploring. So he's got the juice. You don't really have it at that spot. Of all the Cowboys' needs right now, what do you think is the biggest for the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Let's go to safety Budda Baker, who we have mentioned before on this show because I'm a sucker for safeties. And once again, Bleach Report saying they make sense. Here's what they wrote. Baker could also be a sensible trade target for the Cowboys. Dallas is in the playoff mix and has gotten underwhelming play from safeties Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker, which I agree with. Unfortunately, by the way, Baker's still a damn good football player. Now, he is getting up there in age. I don't know how many more prime years he has, but I do think he'd be a really fun chess piece for Mike Zimmer in that secondary. And I agree with Bleacher Report. I think most of us agree too. Like, Malik Hooker has not played very well. Donovan Wilson has not played very well. I am anxious they haven't played Wanye Thomas and Marquise Bell. Despite the idea of it being fun, I'm going to go 5% chance. And all these might end up being a little bit too high. In a bubble, let's add Budda Baker and get that defense and impact safety. Biggest issue here, I'm not sure Arizona sells him. But also, $14.2 million salary. Okay, that's not going to happen. Dallas isn't going to do it. We know that. Unless Arizona wants to eat all of that contract, I don't see that one going down at all. Now, if and when the Cowboys make a trade, we will make a video for you. Hit that sub button for more free updates right now. Let's talk trade rumors here on Cam Robinson, which I find curious. The argumentation here. Well, let's just let USA Today explain themselves. Then I will criticize them. Robinson is one of the league's more solid, if underrated tackles, and is set to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Meanwhile, the expensive Cowboys are still trying to contend in a make-or-break season and could use a real bookend like Robinson on the right side. I'm going negative 5% on this one here, and I am docking points from USA Today, in whose line style the points don't matter anyway, for providing bad info and just being wrong on stuff. There's actually several things wrong with what was written in that USA Today piece. Number one, the Cowboys are not actually expensive. Stop saying that. They are not spending the same cash as other NFL teams. They have $22 million in salary cap space, or $26 million on which site you're on. They've got plenty of money. Now, that said, The $17.75 million salary Cam Robinson is owed is expensive. Who here thinks Dallas will pay him $1 million the rest of the way for each game? No chance. I would also not put Cam Robinson in the underrated category. I think he's more fine than anything else. I think he's played a little bit better the last few seasons, but I would also argue that Cam Robinson is who he is now. Here's his PFF grades. And look, it's PFF. You don't have to like him. That's totally fine. Here's what you have at this point. You've got 35th, 47th, 45th, 50th, tied for 67th, 75th. Did not qualify. He is at the age where it's probably not going to get significantly better. Cam Robinson is who he is at this point in his NFL career. And that's like fine. But the biggest argument for you was, you got to put him on the right side. He's never played right tackle in the NFL. Not one time has Cam Robinson lined up at right tackle. So I'm trading for an okay veteran to flip sides. A veteran, by the way, who is actually worse than your current starter at right tackle. Cam Robinson's got more sacks, more hits, more penalties, and a worse PFF run grade. What are we doing out here? Are we just like throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what happens? How did we get his position wrong? That can't happen. That's why I docked points, because it just simply doesn't make any sense. Who you got in this week's game? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Let me know in the comments. I have bolded the injury update ones to change in that script. I've got them with the proper ones. Everything else will stay the same, yeah. So, not great development on Zach Martin. We'll see what happens on that front. But Zach Martin did not practice with a back issue today. Eric Kendricks did not practice today either, which did not bode very well. Don't like that at all. Did not like that at all. So we'll keep an eye on all that. Everyone else is the same. I will make note, DeRon Bland was again a full participant, which I do think bodes well for him being activated and playing. But a little bit concerning on the Zach Martin stuff. We'll see if we get any other updates beyond that, but that is it's a little bit concerning to me because it's back. It's a back and offensive lineman with back stuff. Concerns me. Concerns me. They said rest/back, but the back was new. So, just don't like that. Diggs was just sick, so he'll be fine. Marquise Bell was back from his illness, too. So, tells me it was a quick thing for Bell. Well, maybe it was maybe technically, I guess we don't know that for certain, because he could have been sick on Monday and Tuesday, too. I'm sure playing in the rain probably wasn't actually good for them. So, who do you got? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. See, the rest was Wednesday. Today was the back. That's what concerns me. So we'll have to monitor that one. Kendricks and Martin not being out there is red flag alert. Red flag alert. Calf and shoulder for Kendricks, by the way. So we'll keep an eye on that one. That one looks good there, Chris. We're just checking the graphics behind the scenes, making sure it all looks the way it's supposed to. That first one for Diggs has to change. Go back to it. There you go. Let's see. You got C's coming in from Joshua, from Clayton, Jeremiah, Mario, Luca, Dustin, Michael Irvin, not spelled the same way. Armchair QB, Sean Shipley, Ray Medina, Clayton, Tyler, Seabass, Caesar, all in there. Luis Hernandez, Ishmael, Jeff Warren, Kyrie J, not to be confused with Kyrie I. Mook and Cowboys, Real Talk, Riza. Let's see. So mostly C's in there, which I think that the vibes are better after what we saw last week. Being able to pick up the win against a Steelers team that everyone was like, they're a good team. And then somehow after that law, or after they lost, like, oh, well, actually, the Steelers aren't good anymore. I hate when big media does that. I can't stand it. Like, if you thought they were good going in, you don't get to say, actually, we were unimpressed by the fact that the Cowboys won. Can't do it both ways. Can't do it. At least not in the immediate aftermath. If you want to revisit the conversation later on, okay, fine. Like, 3 weeks later, as you get more information, okay, that's fine. But like, DNP for Diggs there. Sorry, I messed it up. But yeah, it should be DNPs today for Diggs. My bad. But he should be okay. We'll break it all down here in a minute. Isaac says C. Michael says C. Moonk says get Chase Young. Saints probably still going to be in the mix. I think that's also why you'll see a lot of teams wait. Hopefully that, like, extra delay will benefit things, and like bumping it back will get more of the results we're searching for there. Interesting. Save that for the rumors part coming about Zeke. Make comments about his role. Get the comments in. C for the Cowboys. L for the Lions. I get where you're coming from, Cowboys fan. This will be a much tougher test for the Cowboys' run defense against the Lions than what they had the past 2 weeks. They're much more efficient. This Lions team is much better in that area. So keep the votes coming. C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Y'all set there, Chris? Sweet. We will make it happen then as we get to some injury news and more on the Cowboys Report. We're trying to continue to grow the Cowboys Report. The next goal is 200,000 subscribers. We are almost at the 5K sub mark this season, and we have passed 198 total. You want free Cowboys videos? Hit that sub button for me right now. We have the Thursday Cowboys injury report out. Let's run through it. First up, still no Micah Parsons. Highly doubt he plays. Eric Kendricks did not practice on Thursday with his calf and shoulder issue. That is a very real concern because if you can't practice Thursday, that's when I start to get worried about you. Can he go? Also concerning is his backup, Nick Vigil, did not participate at practice on Thursday. He's the backup middle linebacker. So your two, in theory, green dot play callers have not been practicing. We'll know more on Friday. McCarthy said Kendricks was going to be limited today, and then he wasn't. I don't like that. That sounds like bad news to me. Some good news, I guess, is Maurice Leafau was a full participant with his quad issue. He played last week with it, so I was never that concerned. The bright side, I guess, is that Deron Bland was a full participant again at practice today. That is 2 straight days. He has not missed any work. In his first days being with that 21-day practice window open, bodes very well for him being able to play in return against the Detroit Lions. His top replacement, apologies to Amani Oruwariye, Kalen Carson, has been full as well the past 2 weeks with his shoulder. He should be back this week. Now, Trayvon Diggs did not practice today after being full with an ankle injury on Wednesday. However, he missed today's practice because of an illness. So I would not have much concern about his availability. We saw Marquise Bell miss Wednesday's practice with, I would assume, the same bug. He was back today. So I'm not worried about your cornerback room. Everything looks pretty good there. Tyler Guyton, though, also was a full participant at practice with his knee issue, which maybe ends up being more important than we thought because Zach Martin, after resting on Wednesday, did not participate today with what has been labeled a back issue. He was with the rehab group. So that's concerning. Much like Eric Kendricks, if the veterans can't get anything in on Friday, historically speaking, they don't play on Sundays. So we will have to monitor Zach Martin. We will have to monitor Eric Kendricks. In theory, if they do miss a game, they're back in time for after the bye week, which hopefully is when you get Micah Parsons back as well. So will Micah return for the game against the 49ers? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Let's talk running backs. After Clarence Hill reported, after we built the entire dang show, Ezekiel Elliott has spoken to the coaches about his role and remains, quote-unquote, dumbfounded about his lack of opportunities, at least as the red zone back. You know what happens when various players complain about their playing time. Sometimes things don't go very well on that. Look, Rico Dowdle very clearly and correctly is RB1. Now, I've had my issues with how the Cowboys have handled Zeke and this running back room in general. I do actually think Zeke has a pretty valid point. Where, look, Dowdle's better. He is a better early down back, better pass catcher, and not really a significant downgrade in terms of even short yardage or pass blocking, but he is not a 100% back. And he's not being used as such. The snap counts from week 5, 50% for Rico, 30% each because there are some fullback reps in there for Hunter Lipke and Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke's snap counts went back up in week 5 against the Steelers. It was 51, 40%, 19%, 18%, up to 30% and 23 snaps total against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would argue that the Cowboys have simply not used Ezekiel Elliott properly. That the stuff he does well, the stuff you signed him to do, is not how he is currently being deployed, utilized, maximized, etc. I'll break down some of the evidence for that here in just a second. But first, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time Picks is curation designed to save you even more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. It is just something to make getting tickets on great seats and make it even easier to see your favorite teams play live. It filters out all the fluff to only show you the incredible deals. So you have to waste time, at least as much time, searching through thousands of tickets. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front, with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get the panoramic view from your seat, move your phone around, get an actual good view of where the heck you're going to be sitting so you're not blocked out by a pole or anything along those lines, especially baseball games. Like, you never want to be directly behind the foul pole, right? Which you should know, but it's just the panoramic view helps make it easier, right? The Game Time guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app today. Create your account and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's Game Time. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, Pro Football Reference, very valuable, does splits. These are the carries and yard to go situations. 1 to 3 yards. He's got 7 carries, 22 yards, a touchdown, 6 first downs. So really high success rate. The guy that's always been really good about getting 3 yards when you need 2 or whatever in that ballpark does a really good job of it. But he's got 0 touches in the 4 to 6 yards, 3 for 11, 7 to 9 yards, 20 of his 40 carries, and this includes some additional stuff, maybe get called back to flags, whatever, have come in 10-plus yard situations. Why? This is a short yardage back, no? And Rico Dowdle has been deployed more frequently in short yardages. Now, Dowdle's gotten you more yards total. He's been more efficient in terms of the average carry. Elliott has been more efficient in terms of getting you the first down, which tracks, right? This is someone who's going to give you more impactful plays in Dowdle, who's going to get you more explosives potentially. Zeke's going to get you the yards that you need more frequently. That certainly makes sense. Now, the other area where the pro Zeke brigade was always in was he can do short yardage, he can do pass protection. Well, since week 2, Rico Dowdle and Hunter Lipke have both outsnapped Rico Dowdle in pass protection situations. In fact, it's double for Rico Dowdle. So here's my overall question. If you are not using Zeke Elliott in short yardage spots and not in pass protection, not in that low red zone near those goal-to-goal spots, then why is he here? And more importantly, why is he active on game days? The vibes argument, okay, that's fine. But why would that be the usage here? That's what I don't understand. Because right now, this Dallas Cowboys team is simply deploying Zeke as just the backup. That's just what he is. He's RB2. He comes in when Rico Dowdle needs a breather. Not specific situational usage. And I don't know. Those numbers aren't good. I'm sorry. So if that's the role, then you need to find a better option. Because that role is not right, and it is not maximizing him, and it's actually just not very efficient at all. So if you want to give Dalvin Cook a chance, now is your time. If you're not going to let Zeke be your short yardage guy, and you're just going to let Hunter and Rico do that, let's try getting a better RB2 in there. Because also then why is Dalvin Cook here, right? You're not going to give him a chance. So I think in general, it's been my issue for a while. I don't think this staff does a good job of utilizing their backs, period. How long did it take him to go to Rico, right? Even though he was clearly better. They're not playing Cook. Zeke's being misused. They're not even using Deuce Vaughn at all properly, because again, it's just inside stuff with Deuce Vaughn. So will Dalvin Cook get a shot with the Dallas Cowboys? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Quick aside, by the way, maybe Zeke's hurt. Here's the thing. He's not on the injury report. So somebody lying on that front. Speaking of somebody lying, see how I did that transition? Davante Adams trade. The Cowboys are reportedly out now on a Davante Adams trade, but here's the thing. Were they ever really in on a Davante trade, or was that just kind of like, used to generate more leverage or interest or clicks or whatever the hell it was? The team's out, per The Athletic. The Chiefs, Cowboys, Ravens, and Commanders not involved anymore in an Adams trade. That leaves 4 teams in. The Jets, Saints, Steelers, and the Buffalo Bills, which all certainly make some sense. I don't know why I put the Ravens logo in there. I'm an idiot. I clearly meant the Buffalo Bills on that front. Here was the reason why, per The Athletic. The Dallas Cowboys also called about the 6-time Pro Bowler, but they passed because they didn't want to take on the remainder of his base salary, which is about $12.5 million. Why do I feel like if the Cowboys actually called, it was, hey, how about we give you a 5th and you eat the contract? Why do I feel that was how that negotiation went down? So if you were the Jones boys, would you have pursued Davante Adams? T for you would have tried. P for you would have passed. I don't really believe the Cowboys were ever actually in on this, because how many times have we seen the exact scenario that we just saw get played out? Big name players available. Cowboys immediately get linked and then actually know the Cowboys are not involved. And he goes somewhere else. That happens every single time. Sometimes it's click focused. Sometimes it's the agent. Sometimes it's the other team. Sometimes it's your own team trying to stay in the headlines. It's frustrating to me. Now, Adams' money is actually not that bad if you wait longer. Then it becomes a bit more affordable, which maybe they don't wait that much. The contract each week, if you traded before then, might have to wait until like week 7 since we're already to Thursday here. But they could have done it if they wanted to. They simply did not want to. All right, give me some score predictions here between the Cowboys and the Lions. And then we'll get some shout-outs here as well. I see some super chats from Zeno, LCH, Ecuador. I'm going to just hit him in the mailbag. Yeah, just those 3. Go to the super chat menu here too for me. Score predictions between the Cowboys and the Lions. Let's see, T for the trades and passes earlier. 30-27, 26-24, 27-21, 28-24, 27-13. So that 27-21 was Ecuador Man's Lions prediction. I did 27-20, so I guess he and I are kind of on the same page there. 23-19, 28-23 Lions, 23-19 Cowboys, 35-10 Cowboys. That'd be a fun Sunday. I don't expect it, but it'd be pretty fun. Here is today's super chat menu. $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong. $300. The bosses are going to buy me the Pop-Tart bowl game outfit. and I get to wear that for Halloween. We'll do it for the Halloween watch party, the Sunday before Halloween. Kind of weird timing. It's like on a Thursday this year, but you can't do it can't wear it in like November 3rd. So we'll do it the Sunday before. I think it is on a Thursday, so I can wear it for that live show. That'll be a very fun Halloween show. And I'll probably have to take it off after the first segment would be my guess, and just be like, Happy Halloween, and it's me potentially in a giant Pop-Tart costume. It'd be electric. $500 for a custom Cowboys jersey. You pick the name, the number. I'll wear it throughout the year. Most hundreds in October. The MVP jersey. 24 for 2024. October MVP on the back. And we'll ship it out to you. Sign it, of course, if you want to as well. That is today's Super Chat menu. We will get set up here for our mailbag coming up next. There are 2 ways to get on the mailbag. Use hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat to skip the line all together. We already got the ones in there from Zeno, LCH, Ecuador Man. So get your questions in as we get set up for today's live Cowboys mailbag. Tom Downey here for the Cowboys Reports. Let's get to CJ DeYoung's super thanks off the top. And this is in reference to the practice squad moves the Cowboys signed, kind of poking fun at the Cowboys' lack of real moves. It is a practice squad move. I will try my best to just analyze that from that angle. We can still certainly be mad about the lack of overall top-end talent moves made by the Cowboys. It's a fine practice squad move. You just can't have all practice squad-esque moves. Now, that came in via Super Thanks. It is a feature on YouTube. You see the Super Chats on the live show. A couple of those we'll get to here in a second. Super Thanks is the on-demand version. Just edit your message, send it whenever you want to stick with a little heart with the dollar sign on it. If you're watching on demand, just click it, edit your message, send it in. Even if you say, Tom, you suck, within reason, I think you guys know what the reason is here by now. Just send it whatever, and we will give you a shout-out on the show. Richard Robinson, the running game was much better finally. So why does it take McCarthy 4+ games to see that inside zone stuff doesn't work? I call it that tight zone. And they did still run plenty of zone. But they also mixed in more outside zone. They mixed in more sweep stuff. They ran some more duo. They were a little bit more creative with their run blocking scheme. They still ran some inside zone. That's fine. It just couldn't all be right up the gut. That's what was bothersome to me. I will also say it wasn't actually 4+ games. It was all of last year, too. I have complained about that ground game scheme for a long time. I also thought Rico ran a little bit better. He still at times doesn't quite have the patience I'd like, but I think that's why outside zone helps, because it kind of forces you to have some more patience. And you can find that hole and cut into it a little bit better. So I think it fits better for him. So I also think duo works very well for him, because that's more of an attacking style of run. But look, honestly, people like to blame the analytics for everything. I think they helped you here, because we have the data that the NFL teams have. NFL teams that is probably even better. But this season, Rico Dowdle's averaging 3.9 yards per carry on inside runs and 4.4 on the outside. Half a yard's a big difference each play on the ground. It's a big difference on average. That adds up real fast. So, what is your confidence level in this Cowboys coaching staff overall? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. It's the pinned comment of today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Zeno saying a $5 super chat. I just don't see Jerry Jones making any trade. If he does, he'll probably trade for like a 5th rounder from 5 years ago who hasn't done much. That screams. Remember that Ellie Naku trade that everyone was like, who the hell is that? I hadn't even heard of him when they made that trade. I would probably think you're right there, Zeno. I would not anticipate a big, splashy, sexy trade, because that's just not how the Cowboys do business. I don't like it. That's what they tend to do or not do. LCH 1842. Should the Cowboys draft Ashton Jeanty or a DT? Depends on what DTs are there. You guys can't get on board with the Michigan guys, and I get that. They're very good prospects, though. So I would certainly keep an eye on that. I love Jeanty the prospect. I'm at the point where, like, if he were to, like, I don't know, pull a hamstring and miss 5 games, like, that would suck for college football, and I wouldn't get to watch him anymore, and that's lame. But also keep that workload down and be better off for him moving forward. and not have so many touches on his frame and everything. It depends on where you're drafting. He might not be there for you. He might be a top 20 pick. Maybe you're not in the top 20. If you're drafting early, you want to spend that premium pick on the back, you get in that whole conversation again. DT's got some options this year. I would almost, let me put it this way. I am more on board drafting GT if you add a veteran good defensive tackle. You do that and kind of address your need there, you can maybe better maximize that rookie contract of a back as opposed to a DT that frequently ends up needing more time to grow and develop than some of the more ready-made backs are. Ecuador man, I hate McCarthy, but him limiting Zeke is smart. See, I just want him to limit him to the stuff that he does well. Like all of these carries that Ezekiel Elliott is getting on, first and long, I just don't get it. Like or second and long. Like why are you doing that? He's not efficient there. He's actually been outright bad in that area. So, like, I would limit his touches to short yardage, red zone, pass blocking. They've kind of, like, just made him a limited backup. And I don't think that maximizes the things that he can still do well. I still think Zeke Elliott is really friggin' good at turning a no-yard gain into a one-yard gain. I believe if you gave him that handoff instead of Rico on the goal line, he doesn't fumble, he scores. I also don't know why you ran a pull play on the half-yard line, but whatever. I just think use your guys properly is just not something this coaching staff is good at doing. I have seen that far too consistently. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. They're a feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to only show you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It is curation designed to help make it easier to find the best price on great seats. Keep an eye out for that old super deal to save you even more money. The all-in pricing feature is this. It allows you to toggle to show the total cost up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in your app before you buy. So what are you waiting for? Download the Game Time app today over at gametime.co. Create your account and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. For me to wipe these 304s, thoughts on Dan Orlovsky. When Dan is just being football analyst guy, he's not bad. When he's just talking football and doesn't have to take a predetermined debate topic and pick a side from his bosses at ESPN, I actually kind of like him on color commentary for ESPN games. I think he's actually pretty solid there. I think Louis Riddick is better, but I think Dan's solid there. The issue is you can't get up there and, have inconsistent standards across the board. You can't go say, I think the Steelers are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys, have that not happen, and say that was an unimpressive win. That you thought they were going to lose and they won. What do you mean that wasn't impressive to you? Doesn't make any sense. What do you mean you thought he played below average? No, he didn't. What are you talking about? You can't get up there and say it's not my job to criticize a Hall of Fame QB because I wasn't one. I was a backup. Buddy, then you can't criticize anybody. Like, that literally, Shannon was right. That is his job. That is his job to explain, hey, he's not playing well. You have to say that. You can't say, he was better than me. No. That's a cop-out answer because he doesn't keep that same energy for everybody else. That's what I don't like. For Mark, what realistic trade options are out there that can help us? Not practice squad guys off teams. Rico had one good. You think DC figured out how to plan for him? No, they don't. And I should was even just like, for us, that ground game looked great. It was more like good-ish, even without the fumble at the very end there. but we haven't had a good ground game in a year, basically, which sucks. At least like a good running back in a year, because at least good production for running back. How about that? They do not game plan for him. If he can get me serviceable, that's better than what I've had, though, so far this year. But I do agree that he's not someone that they game plan for. Totally agree there, Mark. We'll do a full list of trade targets. I think realistic and help you, they might be a little bit like, just not doable with each other. I'm drawing a blank on what the proper fancy word term is there. Like, you can find guys. Are you going to do the cost there? I'm not so sure. From Dallas Fanatic, Devin White. No, I warned Eagles fans that they got all mad at me when I said Devin White wasn't good. My Devin White is overrated take from 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I think looks freaking brilliant right now. Doesn't happen that often, but I got that one right at least. Devin White doesn't read the offense properly. Now I'm mad again about the linebackers not fitting their run fits properly. That's Devin White. I saw a Bucs fan tweet out the highlight of Devin White chasing down the back and forcing the fumble. That play was his fault. He went 3 gaps the wrong way and turned a 2-yard run into a 60-yard run. But the splashy play, right? Like, because he forced the fumble way afterwards. Like, I actually don't want him. I don't. And he got attitude issues. I'm gonna be a bad fit, even with your linebacker injuries right now. So, would you add Devin White? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments of today's show. For Mark, Jerry Jones thinks Zeke is the same guy from 5 years back. They said that they thought Zeke played great down the stretch in New England when he objectively did not. Straight up did not. Because you're right. They wanted that. I honestly, I think Jerry Jones watched the Steelers game live because it was in a primetime window and didn't really watch any other games. And Zeke had a couple good plays in that game. I thought probably one of his better games. But then after that, he wasn't good. He didn't do anything. Wasn't even consistent there. So, like, I think you're right, Mark. They were banking on him being his old form, and that wasn't going to happen. At least it hasn't happened so far. Object Pawar, is 3 cooked like Michael Gallup last year? It's a good question. Here's what I don't know, and what we might not ever know. Because I don't think Cooks was as good, even despite my usage issues. I don't think he was as good of a player this year as he was last year even. Was that because of just natural age regression, he's not as good? Or was the knee bothering him? Was that an issue? And that's why he went and got the injection to try to fix up. And now that caused an infection, now he's playing extra catch-up there. He might be. I also think you've got some scheme issues of because Brandon Cook should fit every offense. Speed should always fit your offense. Maybe he's been around the NFL for a long time. If he lost that half step, that goes a long way. Now, if you have not already, make sure you guys are subscribed. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. Free Cowboys videos each and every single day, usually multiple times per day, right here on the channel. From We Know Wife These 304s, the Orlovsky-Rogers comment was super beta. Yeah, it was. What do you mean it's not your job? You can't criticize players? That's part of this. Praise them, too. You don't just make it all negative all the time, but you don't have credibility if you sit up there and say, well, he's better than me. I can't say anything. That's like saying you go to a restaurant, you order your food, and you don't want to send it back even though you ordered medium steak for some reason, and it's black and burnt to shit. It's not cooked right. You are supposed to say that, hey, this is not right. Just because you're not a chef doesn't mean you don't know what you're seeing. From Frankie, any chance on Christian Kirk? Probably not. The contract's an issue there. I wouldn't be shocked if he got moved in general. I'd be a little bit surprised if Dallas was the one to go out and get him, though, just because of how this team tends to operate. From Chrissy Alshon, Jeffrey maybe? Can Dallas get Jeffrey Simmons from the Titans? Probably not. I would love him. He fixes a huge hole up front. Like gives you an actual impact DT that you haven't had in the 8 games a year David Irving would play and was focused on playing. And even before that, Jay Ratliff? I'm probably missing somebody, but still, I don't think Tennessee wants to move on from him. Because I think they view themselves as a quarterback away. Which, the way that defense is played, I don't maybe disagree with, actually. So name a player who you would like to see the Dallas Cowboys trade for. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Cowboy Rob 28, Robert Saleh for the Cowboys DC in 2025. Depending on who you hire, yeah, I'm down with that. I think he's a really good defensive coordinator. Kind of like this could end up being like Todd Bowles all over again for the Jets, where like they had a good coach, but weird stuff, coaching or quarterback issues, whatever. Got the good defensive mind fired, rehabs the stock, goes somewhere else, has some success. I could see that being the case. Not right now because you can't flip defense midseason, but depending on who you hire as your head coach, yeah, totally down. Daniel M. Got a trade idea for you, Tom, and this one is realistic. How about Dalvin Tomlinson for the Browns for a 5th-round pick? If the Browns are selling, that is one I would definitely call about. There's the connection with Mike Zimmer that makes a ton of sense, fills a need for you along the defensive tackle, which I still think is still not in the best of shape. So I like that idea a lot if you can work out the contract stuff and convince the Browns to sell. We'll see if they want to sell or not. That ownership might not acknowledge that they're just not good enough this year. All right, this is today's Super Chat menu before we get set up for our preview of the Cowboys and the Lions. $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong, $300 I get to wear the actual Pop-Tart costume from the Pop-Tart Bowl game, which I'd be pretty excited by. $500 for a custom Cowboys jersey. And the most hundreds in October gets the MVP jersey. So I would find that pretty cool to have. Both the Pop-Tart costume and the most hundreds in October there. Sip some of my drink here. By the way, appreciate all the super chats that have come in so far. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed the mailbag there. I do like that Dalvin Tomlinson idea. Also, thanks for not going to Taz's. Taz is being weird. I know he's trolling, so it's fine, but it's being a little weird. I mean, go right to the start of the segment if you want to, Chris. It's fine with me. You guys are they're just being silly. They're just being silly. That's better than the stuff we dealt with on NFL Live on Tuesday. Let's just put it that way. It is the Detroit Lions coming to town against the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday. The Lions, as of filming, a 3-point favorite. That line dropped from 3.5. It'll probably fluctuate around there depending on when exactly you're watching this video. Either way, we will be live for the Cowboys versus Lions matchup. We'll go live at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll be live a little bit extra early because we have the stuff to talk about, and it's fun to be live extra early. Some injuries we'll be monitoring this week. Now, as a reminder, filming this on Thursday, so we'll get final word, or at least good, insightful word before we get to the video going out Sunday morning. We'll put it in the description for you guys and probably do a short on it as well. But Deron Bland, trending towards playing, practice in full Wednesday and Thursday. Same with Kalen Carson. Same with Tyler Guyton. Eric Kendricks, though, and Nick Vigil have not practiced the first 2 days. Wednesday, Thursday, calf and a shoulder, a foot. If they don't go on Friday, maybe they list them as questionable still. I would be a little bit surprised if they were able to go. Now, Trayvon Diggs missed practice on Thursday, but that was just because of illness. So I actually wouldn't be that concerned about Diggs not being available on Sunday. I think he will play, and potentially Cowboys have a fully healthy secondary for the first time in a long time. Zach Martin, meanwhile, didn't practice on Thursday as he appeared on the injury report with a back issue. It didn't practice Wednesday. That was just because of his normal rest. But Thursday, that back tightened up on him. Got to see what happens on Friday. If he can't go Friday, TJ Bass over there at right guard. All right, Micah Parsons, meanwhile, is not expected to play with an ankle injury. That is not a surprise. Maybe after the bye week against the Niners, he returns. While Kirby Joseph has a hamstring issue, seems like Frank Ragnow is going to go for the Lions, which is kind of insane because he has a partially torn pec and proved to Dan Campbell he could play by shoving him up against the wall, which is the most Dan Campbell offensive line psycho attitude statement that has ever been said. We'll see how effective he is, but it does sound like Frank Ragnow will be out there. Let's talk matchups to watch here. Number one, it is Aiden Hutchinson against the Cowboys offensive line. And there has been, I would argue, through 4 games that he's played in so far this season, no more impressive pass rusher in football than Aiden Hutchinson. He has 6.5 sacks in 4 games, 1 game kind of the outlier, but he has a 23% pressure rate. I don't think over a 4-game sample size, Micah Parsons has gotten to that figure. It is wildly impressive what Hutch has done. Here's the but. He has only faced backup offensive tackles. Now, in part because the Lions have moved him around. They don't keep him just at left end over the right tackle like the Steelers do TJ Watt. They moved him around, and they have gotten him against the weak offensive tackle and let him feast. So he will probably face plenty of Tyler Guyton this week, but he'll probably get some reps against Terrence Steele as well. Got to hold up against him and help and chip and all those things because that man is going to be one of, if not the best player on the field when he's out there. He is an absolute star. So what is your confidence level in the Cowboys beating the Detroit Lions? Pin comment on today's show, so if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. 1 to 10 is your scale. Matchup number 2 to watch. The deep ball from the Detroit Lions against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, so far this season, Jared Goff has hit 2 deep balls all year. Both of them to Jameson Williams. And Ben Johnson is a very, very smart coach. I love him as a head coach candidate for this own team down the line if it comes to it. I would also say this. I would bet that they are going to straight up steal the Saints play action deep shot. And they're just going to say, Jameis Williams, go run a deep post, outrun everybody. So Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, be in the right spot this time. We'll stick with the receiving core here. It's the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown, against Jordan Lewis. Now, I will preface this by saying, if you haven't paid attention to the offseason, you might have missed it. On his podcast, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is an awesome slot receiver, one of the best in football, and has had a very good start to the season so far as well, said Jordan Lewis said some wild stuff to him during that Cowboys-Lions game, kind of took St. Brown aback and kind of shook him up a little bit and was surprised by it. So Cowboys media asked him yesterday, hey, what'd you say to Amon-Ra St. Brown? And Jordan Lewis said, I honestly don't remember what I said. Sometimes I just black out and just go somewhere else with it. But if I said anything disrespectful, I'd probably say it again. All-time quote, man. That is unbelievable in the most positive way possible. I freaking love that. Because you know what you need to be when you are an undersized nickel corner in a Mike Zimmer defense in particular. You got to be an MFing dog. And that is what Jordan Lewis is. He is tough. He is physical. He is your high-energy tone setter. You saw him get into George Pickens said that wasn't even his guy. He wasn't even guarding Pickens that much. J. Lou has been awesome this season. Physical run support defender for a nickel. Has allowed 74 yards on 19 targets all year. That number is going to go up against Amon-Ra St. Brown. But it will be a critical matchup for the Cowboys to win. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. It is available in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. You can also do their flex play. I love the flex play. You pick 2 out of 3. That way, in case you get one wrong, you still come out on top. You've also got injury insurance. If somebody goes down, you are okay. Caleb Williams, more than passing yards. Darnell Mooney's been off to a very hot start, so far this season. I also really like the Tony Pollard more than line because the Colts defense is bad against the run, and he's coming off a pretty good game too. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play 5. Number 4 matchup. It is CeeDee Lamb against the second half and the defenses in the second half he has faced. This is a pretty startling stat you're about to see on screen. CeeDee Lamb, in the first half of football games this year, has 25 targets for 335 yards, 2 touchdowns on 21 catches. Now, if you prorate that out over a 17-game season so far, you do divided by 5 times 2 times the 17 you're going to get. He's on pace for over 2,000 yards in the first half alone. In fact, it's like 2,400 or something. In the second half of games this year, he's caught just 4 of 16 targets for 25 yards. And there's multiple things at play there. The quarterback's missed throws. Lamb hasn't always done the right route. He's had some drops. The scheme has not been very good for him. And I get Lamb in the comment like, yeah, they're taking me away. No, don't let that shit happen. Get CeeDee Lamb the ball. Take the first half game plan and put it in the second half game plan. You got to do better. And the targets are very high quality. They're almost always like last-minute throwaway, low passes under pressure stuff. Like, you got to get more going for Lamb in the second half of games. You're playing good teams now against the Lions. Got to get him involved in the second half. Have to. Now, the prize picks more than less than for CeeDee Lamb is 82.5 receiving yards. So will he get that? M for more, L for less. Go vote in the comments of today's show. Next matchup to watch, the Cowboys front against the Lions run game. Cowboys run defense has been much better the past 2 weeks. This is a much tougher test they're about to face because the Lions don't just run the ball with a pretty good volume, they run the ball pretty efficiently. And they can get to the edges. I honestly, I really just, like from a pure football perspective, I really just enjoy watching the Lions ground game concepts. Like, Ben Johnson is not stuck with just like a couple play calls. He gets very creative. He uses motion almost exactly half the time on run plays versus passing plays. He does a lot of good stuff. It is going to be a very, very challenging task for the Cowboys to stop that ground game. On the flip side, you like to get something similar to what you had last week out of Rico Dowdle. The ability to run the football when opposing teams dare you and to not be one-dimensional does still matter. I'm not saying become a team that goes run, pass every play. Please, God, don't. But you want to have some more play action? You want to make life easier on your offense in general? When they start doing too high shell stuff and they're trying to bracket and cloud up and flood the zones towards the area of CeeDee Lamb and stuff and like try to take him away, and they do that too high shell, too deep safety stuff, what a great way to do that is run the ball. Now, you haven't been very effective. Do some more on that front. So there's more rushing yards in this game. C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Let me know in the comments of today's video. Number 4 is Chauncey Golston, the defensive end. And you're not going to have Micah. There's no Tank Lawrence. There's no Sam Williams. There's no Marshawn Nealand. The only defensive end who most people thought was going to be on this team is Chauncey Golston. That's the only man left. He is your best backup of your backups that are playing. You're down to your 5th end. It's not a good spot to be. He's got to play well against Detroit. Now, he's got a hell of a matchup with Decker and Penei Sewell out there. I am worried about how the Cowboys generate a pass rush, period, in this game. you might have to blitz more because when Jared Goff has time, he will light you up. He is great when there's no pressure. When things are on time, he is awesome. It's when he's not on time that things go badly. How are you going to get him off time? Someone's got to step on the pass rush. I'll start with Golston first and foremost there. Might be a shootout. Might be how you win this game. So Jake Ferguson, let's go, buddy. He's been fine this year. Don't get me wrong. Missed the game with the injury, so the per game numbers are actually not bad at all. But he hasn't yet found a touchdown. And the Lions linebackers in particular, and it works more often than not, so you're okay kind of playing by this double-edged sword. They're a pretty aggressive bunch. They will bite on play action. So you can hit some of those play action shots. Maybe you hit a little seam shot to your tight end that you love to throw, or the waggle stuff. Maybe do kind of a deep crosser off the play action backside to Ferguson. That stuff could work pretty well for you. Number 2 player to watch, Donovan Wilson. All right, bud. You've missed tackles back-to-back weeks that are kind of big. You will be counted on. There's Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They're going to run the ball. Your safeties and your linebackers, too, have to play well, especially with some injuries up front at the linebacker spot, not to mention the edges and overall. So, Wilson, you can be a physical tone setter. I need good Donovan Wilson. I don't think we've seen that yet this year. Number 1, let's go right back to Jalen Tolbert. The answer is probably Dak Prescott, but I don't want to pick Dak every week. That's boring and lame, and you guys don't want to see that. Jalen Tolbert, though, do it again. I think you could, if you watch the sounds from the sideline, you could tell how much that catch meant to him. Like it was the culmination of I am here, I have arrived, I have confidence, and then the quarterback could trust him to make the play, and good things happen. So Tolbert, you are receiver 2. Let's make some plays, baby. Who we got in this one? C for the Cowboys, L for the Lions. Let me know, C or L. Jenkins, I'm sure somebody said that, maybe it was Jerry, said Micah would be a game time decision. He hasn't practiced yet this week, so I never really thought he was going to play these 2 games. Thought the bye week afterwards made the most sense. A super chat from Mark. With our injuries to Welvers, Pitt has a weak O. I'm not a Dak fan, but if Jerry Jones gets Dak, hope we can win now. JJ won't. Why pay $60 million and not help Dak? It's a great question, Mark. They don't want to spend the same cash other teams do. It's just full stop. That's the answer. They just won't spend it. And they will say and lie, we spend max cash each year. No, you don't. Straight up don't. It's not true. I think you're right with the injuries. That was not a game you were supposed to win. You were a road underdog. You stole one from Pittsburgh. Can you steal another this week? Go a long way for your playoff chances. Now, we will be live for Cowboys against the Lions. 2:45 p.m. Eastern start time. We will be live for that game. Hit that sub button at youtube.com/@CowboysTV if you haven't already done so. We will be live for that matchup. We'll go live plenty. We're live for every Cowboys game. There have been days where I have food poisoning the night before, and I still show up. That you weren't there for that one, Chris. That was 2 years ago. That was rough. I literally just laid down for an hour, in the office, just feeling terrible. So hit that sub button. youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Should be feeling good. Have some fun giveaways planned again. For that live watch party. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button at youtube.com/CowboysTV. Cowboy 85, the wide receiver seemed to play better, got open on time. Some time moving on from Cooks. I think you put Cooks back in receiver 3, but I am trending towards Tolbert being wide receiver 2. I also, we don't have to make a decision for 3 more games. Let's let those 3 games play out. I don't see, you don't have to rush into it right now. Allow it to play out and see if you even get Cooks back healthy. Maybe the knee was a big reason why he wasn't looking the same. Keep Smith at left tackle. Well, you might need Bass at right guard this week, period, because of Zach Martin. I think in general, we have really overlooked how much of an impact the loss of Nick Herbig had on that game. Nick Herbig was also smoking Tyler Smith in that game. He beat him bad bad on a rep. And Smith, then they had to go to Jeremiah Moon, and Smith looked dominant. I think Guyton would look pretty good in that matchup too. And TJ Bass had a bit of a rough time at points. It was going up against Cam Hayward. You kind of get that. I kind of think Bass is your long-term right guard. I think Smith is still your long-term left guard. I think you'd let Guyton learn. Remember, Tyler Smith took his jump. Now, he was better from the jump than Guyton was. But right around this time in his first season is when you saw a jump from Tyler Smith. I'd like to see something similar for Guyton this season. But I appreciate that super chat, Cowboy85. All right, again, we'll be live for Cowboys versus Lions. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button, and we'll see you guys live on Sunday.